Good morning, friends. This is your old girl, Melanie Rose, here to share your daily aspects. Today is Friday, November 5, 2021. The moon is in Scorpio most of today, making ingress to Sagittarius around dinner time. The new moon and waxing crescent energy of this moon invites us, now that we have shed the old garbage, to set intentions and begin to plan. Set intentions and plan. And while the moon is in Scorpio, we do have internal power behind manifesting what we most desire. So get grounded, focus, and set some big, wild, wonderful intentions in place for what your happiest present and future could possibly look like. The lunar shift from fixed water element Scorpio to mutable fire element Sagittarius this evening will bring in a lightness of being, physically and intuitively, that gets us moving in the direction of that happiest future in an inspired and flexible way. The sun is also in Scorpio, lending us a sharper, more perspective focus toward ferreting out the truth and satisfying our most heartfelt desires. Until about 7 o'clock tonight, the sun, the moon, and Mars are all in this sign. So again, this is the time to be making the new plan, setting our intentions, writing and visualizing those things we seek to make manifest. Okay, let's take a look at these planets and aspects before we get into the interpretations. We have the sun with us, and that is our outer life. And we have the moon with us, which is our inner life. So our outer life is who we are when we step out the door. In the civic world, in our social sphere, at work, the person we are on the outside, the person that people meet when they get to know us. And then the moon representing our inner life, that's our relationship with ourselves. It's also how we feel and what we intuit or know. And it also relates to our domestic sphere. So our home, where we are at home, who we are at home, and who we are at home with. All right. I've set this up a little bit differently today, so we're just going to roll with it and see what happens. We've got Mars here. Mars is your sense of personal initiative, the fire under your butt to get going. We have Uranus. Uranus encourages us to do things differently. We've got the sun and Uranus. Venus is here. Venus represents love and money. Or how do you relate to those people and things that you value the most? Mercury equates to the intellect. These are our day-to-day thoughts, communications, plans that we make, traveling around that we do. And over here we have the moon. We've already talked about the moon though. That's your inner life. Neptune. This is our spiritual awareness. Also known as your connection to the greater collective of humanity, or your connection to the human collective. Jupiter is on board. This is growth and opportunity, positivity, generosity. Pluto, death and rebirth, beginnings and endings, the extremes of things. And those are all the planets we have on here today. Let's take a look at some of these aspects. We have a trine. I know this is strange, but I'm going to put this sideways here. Trine is harmonious. Very positive vibration. almost guarantees a good time. Square represents challenges or the potential to have challenges, face challenges. Sextile is right here too, and that's a cooperative energy. Positive and cooperation makes things happen. We have a perigee here, which we'll discuss when we get to it. And we have a perihelion, which we will also go ahead and discuss in a minute. This is opposition. And that is a relationship that indicates a potential for conflict or an opportunity to find a balance. And these funny little arrows you see all over the place, these are called ingress. And that's the word for when a planetary body transits from one, or just moves from one sign into the next. Okay, so there's the players, these are the plays, as I like to say. Let's get into a little bit of interpretation. Now, we have a lot of aspects on the plate today, and I wanted to try doing something differently so that perhaps we can differentiate between the aspects that have a more personal effect and vibration and the ones that have a more interpersonal or cultural energy. So what we have here are two columns. The sun column represents more generally to, or relates more generally to the movements of the personal planets, which are the sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and sometimes Jupiter. These all have to do with our outer life and how we act and interact with the rest of the world. This list does not include the moon because the moon has its own column. The moon column relates strictly to aspects made by the moon. These aspects all last around 2 hours and really represent emotions, moods, or ambient vibrations that may or may not have much of an impact, really depending on how sensitive we are in the moment. Some folks are very sensitive all the time, and they will notice moods and feelings in the air around them, as well as shifts from one mood to another. Others of us are not sensitive at all, and there's nothing wrong with that, and we may not even notice these moods and vibrations as they come up. Most of us are somewhere in between that, and that's really just perfect. I mean, have you ever tried feeling everything? It is way overrated on most days. So, I want to give you this snapshot of what our day in moods is going to look like, moons or moods is going to look like, and then we'll move on to what the other more socially impactful planets are up to. I'm going to give you really brief descriptions over here because I want to get into the meat of what's happening. So, at 4:53 a.m., and I give these in Central Standard Time, today, the moon runs trine with Neptune. And this is a very positive vibrations sort of aspect. Instantly, when I saw it, Bob Marley popped in my head and started singing Don't Worry About a Thing. So this is very creative and friendly, loving, gentle vibe. Every little thing is going to be all right. And then at 8:33 a.m., the moon runs square with Jupiter. And this encourages us to enjoy the positive vibrations and good company. Just remember not to overindulge in those celebratory foods, drinks, and other escape artists that we like to associate ourselves with. So more pause vibes and avoid overindulging. You know what it is, that thing that you like to eat too many of, or have too many drinks, or whatever it is that takes you out of yourself and makes you and feel like you can enjoy your socializing and your happy mood better. Just enjoy it in moderation. And then at 11:10 a.m., the moon, and this is a void of course moon, so that's the last aspect it makes in the sign of Scorpio before moving into Sagittarius. The void of course moon sextile Pluto promises to bring up some hidden or buried emotions or intuitions. The recalling itself may or may not be pleasant, but the enhanced knowing will be positive overall. Getting to know me. Getting to know all about me. Getting to like me. Okay, I'll stop. And then at 5:31 in the afternoon, the moon reaches its perigee. Just as the moon's proximity moves the tides with more strength, it will move our hearts. Though we may not be as in tune to this shift as usual because the moon is void of course, perhaps things have just been so emotionally intense lately that this little extra bit doesn't surprise us or necessarily push us any harder, but it's still an increased impact of emotions and intuitions. And then at 7:52 p.m., the moon makes ingress to Sagittarius. Moon in Sagittarius brings us up from the depths of emotion and turns our gaze outward. We can be more frank with ourselves and our loved ones. We seek adventure, philosophical perspectives. This is a good time to get outside and enjoy some natural surroundings. This is a 2.5-day transit. I'm going to put adventure and philosophy. Why not? So that's the moon column. And again, this is really just about the set of moods and energies that we might find ourselves moving through today, especially if we're feeling very sensitive, or maybe if we're not we know we're not very sensitive, but we know that these moods and feelings are going on for more sensitive people. That can be helpful to keep in mind. This overall looks like a pretty positive day where we might learn a little bit about ourselves. We might feel ourselves a little bit more specifically, but in general we'll be feeling good, and we might be feeling even a little bit adventurous. How nice is that? Okay, so on the sun side, in the ongoing column, I'm keeping Mars and Scorpio up here in the ongoing column because I think it's helpful to recall that Mars lends already powerful Scorpio a little extra muscle in the quest to bring about positive, lasting change in our lives. If Mars and Scorpio had a motto, it would be, don't dream it, just do it. Also in the ongoing column, Uranus has reached its perihelion. It reached its perihelion yesterday, and it's worth keeping this in mind at the moment because this planet's orbit around the sun lasts 84 years. So I guess in another 42 years, it will reach its perihelion again. Put simply, this placement of the planet for doing things differently has been having and will continue to have a stronger, more visible impact on our lives for quite some time. We've all been through some changes the last few years, and we may go through a lot more in the next few years to come. If this idea feels exhausting to you, I want to encourage you to do whatever it takes to have a positive attitude going forward. We don't have to give away our power to the love or the fear of change for its own sake. All we have to do is simply embrace what is good about this moment and take the best choice we have when the choices arise. Also, this is day 2 of 2 for Sun in opposition to Uranus. If Sun in opposition to Uranus had a motto, it would be, don't tell me what to do. So you could probably just take all that stuff I just said to you and throw it out the window and do what you want to do anyway. We do sometimes find ourselves in conflict with what culture tells us about what we can be, do, and have. Some of the changes we make today may have the effect of upsetting someone else's cart. And, well, We can't please everyone all the time, and we don't always care if we do. Let's just remember that we're usually not the only person in our sphere of action as we go about our days. As for today, at 5:44 a.m., about an hour after the moon made that beautiful trine with Neptune, Venus makes ingress to Capricorn. Here's a quote from Cafe Astrology. Getting serious about our finances and boosting our relations with business partners and or co-workers will be easier than usual under this influence. Our talents for creating artistic structure and form are enhanced, and our ability to form connections with people who support our ambitions is increased. We value enduring connections, reliability, and faithfulness. We take expressing our feelings very seriously, and we take time to warm up to others. We generally keep our cool in relationships. So, getting serious. Where am I? I made that. That's not a Mars, that's a Venus. There we go. Venus ingress to Capricorn. Get serious about love and money. Get serious about this. This is saying for the next approximate 29 days, we're going to be getting serious about what we want to do with our finances, and also what we want to do with our love, with our relatedness to the people that we value the most. And then at 5:35 p.m., almost 12 hours later, Mercury makes ingress to Scorpio. I find it interesting that just as the moon is void of course and about to leave Scorpio, Mercury comes jamming in here like, what's up, guys? What are we doing? We're manifesting, Merc. Where have you been? Oh, hanging out in Libra, trying to strike a balance. Cafe Astrology has this to say. While Mercury in Libra urged us to find balance and arrive at fair solutions, Mercury in Scorpio instinctively knows that life simply isn't fair. Looking for motivations, the more deeply buried the better, satisfies an intellectual need right now. Our thoughts are profound. We throw away the superficial manners of communicating in favor of deep conversations. So, into the deep with the intellect and communication. This is another approximately 1 month transit, 29 days, and I believe that's 28 days. I'll have to go back and look it up. Coming up tomorrow, Mercury will make a fun-loving, easygoing sextile vibe with Venus for a couple of days. And then next week, we will see a waxing first quarter moon in Aquarius, encouraging us to act on the plans we're currently setting forth, but with an eye toward changing up stale patterns and approaches. We will talk about these things in more upcoming episodes. That's it for today, friends. This has been your Daily Aspects, an astrological weather forecast for November 5, 2021. If you haven't already, please like my video and subscribe to the Old Girl channel. I will leave this up here for about 30 seconds so that you may have time to look it over. My name is Melanie Rose, and I will see you all back here tomorrow for more Daily Aspects.